Henry, the coder.
Hey, hello. How are you
Henry
guys
the
doing on this
coder.
fine afternoon or morning?
Guys, I learned something new today. I think I can share this about Henry the coder and Rashad. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm going to teach you. We actually met Henry the coder in Athens. Do you remember that or know that?
Vaguely, I vaguely do remember there being a crew. So yeah, I do. I think I vaguely we did meet Henry. Henry is from Poland, right?
Indeed, Henry is from Poland.
Yes.
Henry's from Poland. Here, I won't dox you, Henry, but Henry's from Poland, has great hair, and is very tall.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. We did meet. Yeah.
right. All right.
So, yeah, you might have thought I was part of the Polish gang. Actually, funny thing, they live very close to where I do, but we never met each other before.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I did. We did meet Henry briefly. There was another Polish crew too. I
Hmm.
believe Invariant was the other Polish crew, and
Oh
then
yeah, that
Henry
was
was there.
yeah the third group. Right, right. They did
Yeah.
they did some nice stuff.
Yeah. So it was an international. I mean, 3 days we met a lot of people. So it's good to connect now. God, it's been. I guess it's almost about a year, right? It's we
It, it,
our event
Almost
was in
exact.
June.
Almost exact. Yeah, over a year. Was it in June? June or July? It was one of the two. But yeah,
yeah, something like that. Happy
yeah,
anniversary, guys.
yeah. I
Thank you.
I said this last space, but I was, I mean, informally talking to Mode about doing another meetup, and she, of course, said, yeah. I don't think anything's been officially planned yet, but we're going to do it again, hopefully this year. And good news, if we want to touch on this for a minute, it finally seems like some life is being brought back into the market. Bitcoin, Ethereum, several other just the market's moving. It's moving and so far it's let's look, where's Bitcoin at right now? 117. So it fell down a little bit from 118, but it's still holding. Um so let's hope this continues, guys.
Yeah, I mean the markets are looking good. I think there's a lot of excitement now because Bitcoin is breaking through all-time highs, and the large cap alts are moving. Ethereum is moving. Cardano is moving. Chainlink, BNB, AVAX. So the really large cap alts are moving. So it's an exciting time. The smaller cap alts haven't moved yet, but that's usually part of the process. It's usually Bitcoin goes crazy, then the large cap alts move, then the middle ones, and then the low cap. So it's still early in the process, but this actually seems like a potentially promising move and a shift in the markets. So yeah, let's see if it continues, and let's hope there's no geopolitical macro conditions that could throw a curveball at us, which has been known to happen.
Yep. Yep. I still think a lot of what's moving Bitcoin right now is institutional and government money. The ETF inflows have been insane. I had it pulled it up. I think it was something like, do I have it still? I don't know, multiple billions of dollars in a short time frame. Um and more than likely, hopefully that'll generate some, I guess, FOMO within the retail investors to bring money back in to Ethereum large caps, and then you just have the trickle down effect, right? Going towards the tail end of summer into fall. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it would be really nice if the Fed could finally in the US start cutting, just come out and say, hey, 2 basis point rate cut, three, whatever, go nuts, please, and really stimulate the borrowing and in the money printing. That'd be awesome. So that next, please.
I think that's coming.
Think so too. I think so too. the jobs report came out earlier this last week in the US, and it was good. The counter to that, which honestly we kind of need it to have a counter, is that I don't know if you guys saw, but the Supreme Court ruled in favor of basically the government job cuts that Trump and Doge were trying to get through. So when they initially started, these people were just kind of in limbo, still hired, so those jobs didn't show up on the jobs report, and they still haven't. But with this Supreme Court ruling, I guess my expectation is that the next jobs report will be lower. Um, and I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying in general, in order for the Fed to be incentivized to cut rates, they need to show data to support cutting rates. So
Yeah, it
I
looks like that data is slowly getting over there. And as far as I've seen, it seems like there's a good probability that they will cut rates by September at the latest, and it could happen
yeah,
sooner.
yep. I
So,
think I was looking at it. I think before the jobs report earlier this week, it was like 90% July, 100% September, and then with the positive jobs report, those odds went down. It went down to like 60 or 70% for July, and then still 80 or 90% chance of a rate cut for September. So whether it comes in July or September, I don't know. But ideally it starts in September and we get at least two rate cuts for 2025, and then it continues into Q1, Q2 of next year.
Yeah, hopefully. The bull run has been pretty, I don't know, disappointing so far.
It's guys, it's I'll be honest, it's been exhausting, mentally exhausting and boring and hard the last 6 months or however long it's been, this entire year basically. So if you're still here, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Because I know it wasn't
Because I
easy. It
know it
wasn't
wasn't
easy for
easy.
me. It
It
wasn't
wasn't easy
easy.
for me.
It wasn't easy for anyone. And then Henry, to people like you that are not only still here but actually building something and working through it, major props to people like you, because that's even harder.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the great thing about Henry as well is that it lets people on board so much easier into Alephium. I remember when I started a year ago exactly, it was like the meetup was kind of my onboarding to Alephium. Yeah, it was very hard. It wasn't as hard as maybe the other chains because Feng did a really good job with documentation. But otherwise, I'm thinking a tool like this, plus I've heard this Alephium builder. Yeah, that thing. I think these two AI tools together, they can just onboard so many new people. If you want to just like go multi-chain, then
so
it's very
Henry,
easy to join Alephium.
yeah, so Henry, did you get the idea for Henry Coder during the meetup, or was that something you had been developing beforehand? How did this idea come up? Because I'll tell you, I have an idea. I know what you're trying to do. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best ways to onboard users. And the simple explanation for Henry Coder, and you can correct me if I make any missteps, but the simple explanation is, let's say you're working on Ethereum, you're using EVM source code, and you want to try ALPH. You want to try to build on Alephium and see what the technology offers you, right? It offers you more security. But it offers you the count model flexibility. So you basically paste your EVM code into your DApp, and you get it translated into Ralph, which is the Alephium native language. So you've simplified the process for people who are writing in different languages. All they have to do is copy paste their code. They get it translated, and now they can build on Alf, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And a lot of these smart contracts, they aren't that complex, really. We're not talking some big suits of thousands of Solidity lines. We're talking something more simple. And a lot of these contracts are not that difficult to translate, but just very cumbersome. So the story, you asked about the story, how it actually came to life, this idea. Well, it is very, actually very realistic, because at some point I had this job, which was to translate an EVM code to Alephium. And this is actually a real thing. I got paid to do this, but the thing was, it was actually very. It seemed like EVM and Ralph had so many things in common. But you couldn't use tools like Copilot back in the day, because Copilot doesn't understand Ralph. Like none of the big LLM models, not even Grok 4 knows Ralph actually. So, so the idea is, what if we just taught an AI how to translate, how to actually code in Ralph
Mm,
and do the 90% of the work that has to be done for the translation to work? And that's exactly what
okay.
we did. And you can check out the effects. I think they're very good.
Okay, so you got paid to translate some EVM code into Ralph. So basically, to help somebody basically onboard somebody into Lithium who wanted to develop here, and you said, why don't I make an AI tool that does most of this stuff automatically?
In a way, yes. But back in the at the time, I didn't have time to design such a tool and implement it. But I
Okay.
thought afterwards, it was in retrospect, if we had this tool, it would not take 2 weeks to translate and test and stuff like that. We would have a translation in one day, and then we could just test it for the rest of the contract. And well,
So
I'm
so I
thinking,
so did you actually pick an existing LLM or AI service and
yeah,
integrate it into your DApp, but then when you integrated into your DApp or before you did or as you did, you actually taught it. What is that even? How do you do that? How do you teach an LLM
yeah,
a
it's a
code
very
base?
interesting topic. There's so many ways to do it, and myself, I've been trying to try every single top LLM that is available on the market. And while I can spill some secret sauce about coding, it actually turns out DeepSeek v3 does the best job at coding. You would be surprised. You'd think Gemini, which has like probably 4 trillion parameters or whatever, would do a better job. But it turns out the Chinese AI actually does the best job. And about teaching the AI, there's so many ways to approach this, but the simplest one and the best one for this case was to supply massive amounts of documentation and examples as context. This is actually something the AI can reference, and you can see it in your chats. Probably all of you use an AI of sorts. It can remember things basically from the previous messages, and it uses them very well. And there's also something very interesting happens when you have a long context, thing like 100,000 tokens. There's this thing that happens. It's called like memory holes, and AI just forgets some pieces of information that you have in your context. Like if you did a very long chat with ChatGPT, it will actually forget some of the messages. It could not remember them when giving you an answer to the next question. And there's this benchmark which checks which AIs have this problem, and DeepSeek is one of the best ones. I mean, that means it's the least forgetful.
Well, I was actually talking to I forget who, my brother-in-law, my wife. I don't know, maybe it was my sister because she creates like kids children's books basically using an AI to she tells it a story and it creates the images. Anyway, um she was talking about some of them who remembers better, but the way in order for an AI to remember, it's all about the infrastructure and basically the size of the server's storage, that right, because it takes data. You have to save data, you have to store data in order to remember. It's kind of that simple, isn't it? Or is the actual AI I guess, dude, I'm so ignorant to this, but is it dependent on how much storage these servers have, or is it more complicated than that because this is AI and I don't understand AI?
Yeah, so
Does
nowadays
that question make
it's
sense? Does that comment make sense?
yeah, I'll try to explain as best as I can so you can understand the meta information that you need to understand this whole thing. So when you're training a new LLM, think like you're trying to do something XAI does, a new Grok. Then you need like petabytes of data. And this is the way they do this. They just take the entire internet and put it all into this magic machine that has actually 200,000 GPUs. It costs billions of dollars to make. But what we're doing here is we're using these models, which are already trained. They understand stuff like physics, maths, Rust, Solidity, and we just adding a little bit more information, which they don't have, which is Ralph. And now with this new knowledge, they can they can code. So it's like in a real life when you have this software developer with 20 years of experience in like 15 different languages, and you're gonna show him, yo, check this out. This is Ralph. This is how you program in this. There is a good chance he's gonna get it like very quickly, and just because he's seen so much already in the past. And this is what we do with this LLM. We just show him, Ralph, this is how you do it. This is some examples. This is how you should be thinking about this. And bam, now we have a coder who can do Ralph.
That's so crazy. And this is a relatively AI LLMs. It's like not relatively new. It's friggin' brand new. And look how far it's already come in the recent months, last year. It's insane. That's awesome. So I guess let's start with what's your who's your primary audience or user for for your DApp? Is it existing devs from other communities EVM that want to move a protocol similar to what they built somewhere else into Alephium? Is it for an existing so that's one use case. Does it also solve the use case of, hey, I'm new to coding, I haven't coded anywhere else, but I want to learn Ralph and build something? Can you use your DApp in that way too?
Yeah. So primarily, I would love to see people who have a product existing already on EVM
Hmm.
to come
Hmm.
to Alephium and make it as easy for them as possible. And the second part, like you mentioned, when you're new to Alephium, you're just onboarding. There's some stuff which is hard to understand, possibly. And with this thing, what you can do is you can paste in a contract or some library which you want to see in Ralph and get a pretty good quality code and see how you should be thinking about it. Like I was actually I don't want to be like just throw some words out. I actually tested it myself. I wanted to do a proper example. So I did a workshop 1 year ago about Solidity, and I did this rock, paper, scissors contract in Solidity. And I was teaching students how they should go about this and how they should think about security and stuff like that. I think it took me like 30 minutes maybe to write this contract from scratch, maybe slightly more, but it doesn't matter. So I put in this rock paper scissors contract into myself, Henry, and uh, and I was able within 7 minutes to actually get a working Ralph contract, which does transfers to users, allows deposits, and allows for many games to be played at once. And it took me like 7 minutes with some refactorings that I did with Copilot. But yeah, instead of maybe taking 40 or 50 minutes, I was able to get it down to 7, and it actually the code compiles and it works. So I can say for sure that if you know a bit of Ralph, you can get your stuff running very quickly.
That's awesome. Do you have any data on how many apps have been translated so far?
I could check later. I don't have it right now, but I could check it in a moment.
Okay, no
You
problem.
know, Ryan, what I'm excited about is this is another tool that onboards people to Alephium. It's a tool that makes the onboarding process easier, smoother, and eliminates a pain point. You know, somebody wants to join Alf, but maybe they feel like they don't understand, you know, the programming language. They don't understand Ralph well enough. Now they have this tool to basically eliminate a pain point and bring in more devs and more builders to Alephium, which is exactly what we've been aiming for.
Yeah.
And even more so because Alephium is about to get an upgrade in 4 days.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
Danube upgrade, which is going to make Alf faster, more secure. It's also going to give groupless addresses. So another enticement for devs and users. This is a major upgrade, and it is 4 days away. And we're all really excited about what's happening in Danube.
Tues Tuesday, right? Tuesday, today's Friday, so next early next week. Yeah, that's super exciting. And what I Danube is massive. It's on its own. It's not a the type of catalyst that is going to be a major price action catalyst. I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't expect that. But from a sense of a showing that the core team's still here, still building, still innovating. It's huge, and then also how it improves as you've added the user experience to the people like us that just want to use the layer one, and then yeah, all of the nice have upgrades, enhancements for the devs, and I think we're at a point too. And what I would hope to see with Henry the coder, his DApp is, I tend to agree that while we do want new devs learning and we want to grow internally our devs, it'd be really nice if we could bring one, two, three mini full-time serious big dev teams that have been on EVM, have been on some other chain for a very long time. They want to explore, but they've been reluctant because learning a new coding language just is there's risk with that, right? There's risk with innovating on a small layer one compared to, the number two Ethereum, right? Like there's just risk with that. But if you can use a translator app and just get, yeah, it's a major just I call it enabler to help bring people here. So I'm actually curious to think about. We don't have to answer it right here and right now, but to think about, Henry, what kind of activities or promotions or things can we run or collaborate, we the DAO collaborate with you to help incentivize people to use your DApp and to try it and to experience it and to experience Ralph. We should think about communities that we can try to reach out to and incentivize them to just try this. I think that'd be a worthwhile exercise. And if anybody in the community has any ideas or contacts or suggestions of ways that we could try to accomplish this, it'd be much appreciated. We actually have the our DAO slash community Telegram channel that we set up a couple weeks ago. If you're not in there, please join. I was on vacation all of last week, so I was MIA a lot of last week. And not present, but I'm going to try to be more present in that channel. And the intention is we're just going to, we, the DAO, are going to be more transparent in just how we work and decisions we make and how we spend our monthly grant, etc. So feel free to just be a part of it and join us, because it's literally we collaborate, we talk. Um, and then we do something. So anyway, we're going to try to do that now in the public, in that public forum, so anybody can see it and anybody can provide suggestions, and you can help us, um you know decide how we're going to use the funds. So
Yeah, so have your voice be heard in the DAO. Come join us. We have a public Telegram channel for anybody can join. They can pitch their ideas. You can communicate with us. So yeah, that's an open invite to all of you. Please do join us. All of you except Mark. I don't trust him, but everybody else is welcome. Um,
yeah.
Henry, I got to ask you. We're talking about the Danube upgrade. It's 4 days away, I believe, as Ryan said on Tuesday. How will Henry the Coder be impacted by Danube?
Actually, I have a thing to surprise you. Henry Coder already knows Danube and can make perfect code, which is very simple, very readable, and aligns with the new update.
Oh wow! So Henry Coder is already ready for Danube, and the code he spits out is going to be perfectly aligned with the Danube upgrade. That's
Yeah.
impressive. I did not know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't
So
know if we
you're
have any developers here who are building. Yeah, awesome, awesome. So if you've seen Danube and the changes it does, wow, it will just simplify so much of the complicated code bases. Like you don't have to think 30 times before making a new function that uses the funds or creates a new map element. It will
it's
be
so
just very, very smooth.
That's so good to hear, because people like Rashad and myself, we probably see like 2% of what these network upgrades do, because don't get me wrong, the 2% like groupless addresses it's huge, but the vast majority of the lines of code are more geared toward optimizing the chain slash optimizing how devs build on the chain. So it's great to hear that you notice it and that you think it truly makes your work and devs work, community devs work more efficient. So that's really encouraging to hear.
so let me ask you a hypothetical, Henry Coder. Let's just say I'm an Ethereum dev. I've been working on Ethereum for a few years. I know how to write EVM source code or Solidity,
Hmm.
and I want to make the jump over. I want to try building an Alephium. I listened to this podcast, and I'm like, let's do it. But I have no background in Ralph, right? So I have my Solidity code. I paste it into Henry Coder. I get a translation. Now, obviously, I need to know a little bit of Ralph to see what I'm getting, to see what needs, tinkering. How easy or pleasant is the process of learning Ralph coming from an EVM Solidity code background? How would you kind of pitch me as an EVM developer trying to make the jump over to
Well,
Ralph and Alephium?
well, what I would add is you did exactly this, did you not, Henry? This is what Rashad just said. You did without the aid of your DApp that you just built. Is that true?
Yeah, had to do it manually back in the day. Yeah.
So maybe touch on two things. Touch on how it went for you and your thoughts of learning it, slash, if you had to do it over again and you had access to this tool, how it would have helped you, what impact it would have had.
Yeah, all right. So let's start with the basics, the simplest things. When you're trying to program for blockchain, obviously you need to have a ultra wide double quad HD screen that uses so you can see all of your Chrome tabs open. And once you have that, you can start translating. And as a Ethereum developer, I'm not an Ethereum EVM developer myself, but I have a lot of experience with it. You're gonna feel at home with Ralph. There's some say it's very similar to Rust because it is, but if you've done some Rust and Solidity, you're gonna just feel that you just feel the flow, if you know what I'm saying. It's just like a little bit simpler solidity. It's, well, you have to worry about the UTXO. You have to worry about that. But otherwise, you're gonna just, I think, just enjoy it. Enjoy the simplicity. I think that's a good thing. And another thing that comes from this, and a lot of people know this, it makes smart contracts more secure. The simpler the languages, the easier it is to use it, the more secure the contracts are gonna be. And the way it would change my story with translating the smart contract, I would definitely not have to do a lot of the manual labor. What I mean is there's a lot of stuff that is very simple to translate, but you just have to, type it in manually, just like line by line, word by word. And just Henry Coder does it for you. He knows the basics. He knows the easy things that just take a lot of time to translate. And now now you can just focus on the hard logic, like the hard logic, the heart of your program, instead of just, I don't know, writing 30 getters. Like, like you have to write getters to get it, some data for you, but Henry does it for you. So
It's not even just writing the getters. It's you have to look it up and see what it actually is, and figure out where the library is and the documentations, the internal Alephium documentations. It's all of that, right? So it's not only just the writing it down, it's the figuring out what is that actual line of code I need to copy paste and finding it.
yeah, and another thing Henry does, which I'm really, really focused on improving as well. When I was developing myself, the issue I had was some Ralph specialties, just some kind of quirks that Ralph does. And I did not understand these small problems, like these nuances in code. And I had to look through the entire documentation to find one place where they mention, oh yeah, I should be doing this. And it would take a long time to just figure out these small topics. And I think what what Henry does, he can remember all these nuances at once. And when he does the translation, he includes what he knows and does it as best as he can. So yeah,
No,
it's
no, that's
Ralph is pretty
awesome.
nuanced.
It sounds awesome, and I can't wait. I'm very excited for just an existing project somewhere else that wants to port over. We have many devs that are have platforms within Alephium that came from somewhere else. They rebuilt a product that they had somewhere else, and moved it here, and that's a very common use case. So I'm very excited to have this, I guess I'll call it, tool within our tool belt, to offer to devs. This is a yeah, this is a this there's a lot we could do with this, and it gives people the ability to, it breaks down the barrier of the excuse of it just takes too much time to learn a new language. And then, to your point, since you've already coded on Ralph and kind of learned it, you understand its simplicity and its advantages with its security and its advantages, uh, with once you learn it, just, again, how simple it is to use, and simple equals good because it doesn't have reentrancy. It doesn't have a lot of the same vulnerabilities that are plaguing Ethereum. Um,
Yeah, that as
s-
well.
so so yeah, so people just naturally. It's very rare. I'll say it this way: it's very rare when someone finds Alephium, comes to Alephium, codes on Alephium, for them to give negative feedback and to say this was a horrible experience. I honestly can't say that I really can't say that I've ever seen it. I've never gotten that feedback or seen that feedback from anyone that they just had a bad experience learning Ralph or coding on Ralph once they understand it. So yeah, I just this very exciting.
Yeah, and there's another one use case that came to my mind because I had to learn a lot of things in my life over this over my lifespan. And well, the thing is, I think that there's this issue I always encounter when I'm dealing with something new. I come to a problem which I cannot solve, and I'm thinking, how would someone who knows how to do it, how would they do it? Sometimes I come up with an idea, but sometimes I fail. And now, when you're learning Ralph, you have this excellent assistant, Henry, who knows Ralph, and you can just ask him how would you do this thing, or you can just type it in Solidity if you know how to do that, and then you can look. Oh, Henry did this. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's the thing. I think that's the 20% of knowledge that I was missing. So I think you can accelerate learning, the learning curve that people have when dealing with new technology as well.
One thing I don't think we mentioned, Henry, is you actually, I don't think we said this, but you have experience auditing code and actually you worked with, were a part of the ULAM auditing team at one point, correct too, right? I don't know if you still are, but
No, no, the times have changed.
times
Uh,
have changed. But you were there, you do have experience with auditing. That was your past life. Is that can I say that? Is
That
that
is
true?
correct.
Yeah. No, so I guess that's just a I guess I just wanted to point that out is you have a deep understanding, I would think, coming from that background of understanding the vulnerability of EVM and other chains and what advantages um, Alephium has, just because that's what auditing firms do. They look for vulnerabilities in people's code and they try to mitigate those vulnerabilities as best they can. I think that's an accurate statement, correct?
Yeah. So there's a lot of angles that those auditing firms try to approach a contract, and like you say, some of these vulnerabilities are because of the protocol. Like Solidity allows reentrancy, and there's a lot of problems with that. So they attack the contracts from this side. And with Valve, because it's so much simpler, you can't have reentrancy, so you don't need to check for that. So you can focus your efforts, your auditing efforts, on the contract logic. So in other words, if you're a business and you're trying to ship a smart contract to Alephium, you're gonna look at the price tag of the audit, and it's gonna either be cheaper because you're not gonna have so many attack vectors to check, or it's gonna be more thorough if you need that kind of security, that kind of level.
No, it totally makes sense. I just I wanted to point that out because I think it gives context to the people listening, to the community, about your background and actually what you're capable of and where your experience lies, because I think that's actually super valuable. Because even when you're advertising your protocol and approaching or talking to other developers from other communities, you can lean on that experience and that knowledge to more or less encourage people to try your protocol, to move over, to just give it a shot. So that's yeah, I think that's valuable context for everybody listening, and that should give people good vibes, in my opinion.
Yeah. By the
Hey
way,
guys, real quick, whoever has host privileges, can you invite Rashad back up? He got rugged, disconnected. Anyway, go ahead, Henry, as we get Rashad back up here.
Yeah, I wanted to do an interesting trivia about auditing nowadays. Seeing the success with LLMs, there's a lot of work going on to do AI auditing, to think about ways to attack the smart contracts. There are some tools that are in development by the best auditing firms, which are proprietary.
I'm back. I got rugged by Twitter again. So
Sorry about that.
yeah, I wanted to make one point, Henry. You made a great point. You said when you do an audit, you don't have to worry about reentrancy when you're working on Alephium when you're using Ralph, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you don't have to
So
check for that at all.
yeah, so I think that's a huge deal because just in the past, I would say 48 to 72 hours, we've had two big reentrancy attacks on Ethereum. One was GMX, which was hit, I think, yesterday or the day before, for about 40 million, and that was audited. GMX has a total value locked to 500 million plus. Then the day before, Cove Finance, also on Ethereum, which is a protocol that allows you to earn yield on Ethereum, was also hit with a reentrancy attack. So in the past 48 to 72 hours, you've had two major reentrancy attacks on Ethereum, and these aren't obscure platforms at all. So it really, I think the security aspect of it, preventing reentrancy attacks, I mean, this is one of the biggest benefits that Alephium offers, especially when there's a lot of money at stake. In DeFi, you have hundreds of millions of dollars that are being secured, and Alephium offers something that EVM doesn't, and simply can't because of the way EVM is
Well,
the architecture of it.
it's a built-in vulnerability. You can try to mitigate that vulnerability, but you can't, and I'm talking about reentrancy attacks within EVM. You can try to, as best as to your ability, to the auditor's ability, their knowledge, etc., to mitigate that vulnerability, but you can't completely eliminate it. And to Henry's point, that vulnerability doesn't exist within Alephium, so they don't need to try to mitigate it. They don't need to try to protect against it because it's just it's not it's not a vulnerability that's present within Ralph.
Yeah, so if you have your funds on, Alephium, so let's just say you have funds on Alpha Banks or something, and you have a lot of money on there, you don't have to worry, But if it's on EVM, you're potentially at risk. So I think this security aspect is something that people who are in the crypto space need to understand that GMX was audited, but it's on Ethereum and it was still subject to a reentrancy attack. And the fact that you don't have to worry about that for Lithium is a huge advantage. So I think sometimes people forget. I think sometimes there's a lack of education on DeFi. People aren't sure how things work. So I think what Henry Coder is explaining is amazing, and I think it shows one of the main benefits for lithium, especially in the future. Its security aspect, and it is going to really, I think, put it at the top of L1s.
I'm with you, Rashad. Henry, since we kind of got out of sync, you were telling us a trivia fact about. Just start over with your last comment. Now that Rashad's back, he can hear. We're all synced up again.
Yeah, the trivia was. Yeah, by the way, I'm with you on that point. So yeah, the trivia about auditing is that with the big success of LLMs and their capabilities, there is really big money right now in AI auditing of smart contracts. And all the big firms are building their own AI agents who can do some, at least pieces of audits. But it's all proprietary. It's not open source, by the way, Henry Coder, fully open source. You can see how it works. You can run it yourself. You can suggest improvements. It's all available for everyone. Yeah, feel free to check it out. And yeah, the AI auditing is gonna be the next big thing.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. How how does I guess how does w- people using Henry the Coder is do they pay to use it? Do they get credits? Like how do you generate yourself, I guess, revenue from people actually using your product, or is it free? How does it work? I guess in terms of people that want to use it.
Yeah, so it is free for everyone, and everyone can use it as much as you want. Feel
That's
free,
awesome.
and
That's
it will
awesome.
stay, that way as long as it has to. It's not going to change.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you could easily try to no, good for you, man. That's awesome, and thank you.
Yeah, it's all for you guys, so you can onboard as many new projects to Alephium. I hope to see that.
Is there anything else specifically about your DApp that you want to highlight, you want the community to know about that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, it's pretty simple. It has like an input and an output, and has some options which you can choose to your liking. And yeah, if you're struggling with something, if you're a developer, want to onboard, want to find new ways to approach things, well, just feel free to submit requests to Henry Coder. He'll
W-
gracefully translate your programs.
I think what we should do, by the way, it just popped into my head, and we should talk about this, but we should find someone that has a DApp and recruit them to use Henry the Coder to translate, and we should document that experience on a video on YouTube, um, as like a tutorial, or we can just pull something off the shelf and you can do it. I don't know. We can think about it, but I think we should try to create a tutorial, a how-to, an example of how it works, and be able to share that and spread it because I think it'd be a very we could make that I think it'd be very powerful if we did that and just use that as awareness for your DApp and for Lithium.
Yeah, I'm thinking that'll be pretty cool to see how you can go from your translated Henry Coder output to a fully working smart contract on Alephium.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I bet we could find a dev who could do that for us, and it would be a cool video, show you how Henry the Coder works. Now, before I make my next point, I gotta say, you guys, thank you for being here, and please mint your presence using Presence Protocol. The password is Ryan. What is the password?
Translate. All lowercase translate. TRANSLATE.
And that's a perfect password because that's what Henry the Coder does. He translates from Solidity, the EVM language, into Ralph, the Lithium language, a more robust and easier to use and simple programming language, which I think should appeal to devs who want to build robust, no fuss, smart contracts. And really, I think at this point, it's just about building awareness and bringing in devs and users to Lithium because it is a better architecture. It is safer. You don't have reentrancy attacks. Your funds are safe if they're on a Lithium banks, they're on Alpha banks, or if you're betting on Aura, or if you're doing whatever, your funds are safe. And with the Lithium, like I said, your funds are safe. Whereas in Ethereum, like I said, it's become that we have reentry attacks on almost a regular basis. So I think as more and more money, as people have more and more money on DeFi, security is going to become a major issue because you want to be able to sleep at night and know that your funds are safe. And you can sleep at night if your funds are on Lithium. So Henry the Coder is a great way to bring people over, bring over devs, and I think once devs start using and they start building an ALF, we're going to have even more great dApps, and those dApps are going to bring in users, people like Ryan and others who will be on DeFi, placing parlays on Aura bets and just doing their thing. Henry, I got to ask you, do you have a favorite dApp on Alephium? outside of yours, of course.
Yeah, I don't think I should choose my favorite, but there's a good one, very good one. Have you seen Moonshot boxes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Moonshot
it's
boxes.
yeah, it's coming
I'm
to Alephium
actually
very soon, I think so.
it is, and I'm actually very good friends with the founder of Moonshot Boxes, Raj Ninjitsu.
He's usually a guest on the spaces, but I think he has something come up. Or I'm just telling that myself. I'm telling myself that to make myself feel better. But he's
Yeah,
usually
right.
here.
He is.
Ninjutsu is usually here, or his alter ego is here, but he's not here tonight. So I think he had some kind of work emergency.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking to that narrative. But yeah, moonshot boxes should be pretty cool.
Actually, there's a super, super good partnership relationship you guys could build between yourselves in terms of the whole point, I guess, for people that don't know of Moonshot Boxes is to basically ninjutsu vets these he tries to attract other protocols to come to Alephium. That's his goal. And he initially launched on I think it's Polygon, and now he's moving and it should be any week now, native Elf. But his goal is to use his network, his protocol to to basically fund other projects, allow people, everyday people like us, to get into early seed round investments of other projects. So it does two things. It gives people, everyday people that aren't, you know, tied into, I don't even want to say VCs, but just into networks where you can where you can get into seed rounds. It gives everyday people the ability to get into seed rounds through moonshot boxes. And then it also helps that protocol that's launching raise funds to be able to build. um so there's synergies there of where what he does with moonshot boxes and what you're trying to do with your Henry the Coder DApp. So no, that's actually, I don't know if you thought about that when you mentioned his protocol, but you probably did, and you probably knew that. But I wanted to point that out. That's great. And that was actually a really good plug because it definitely um synergizes with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're seeing. I mean, I love moonshot boxes. I love the idea. I mean, it basically, so the way it works in the U.S. at least, for you to have a chance to go early stage for a company, you need to be an accredited investor, which basically means you need to have about 1 million liquid, and that allows you to get into projects early on. Moonshot boxes allows you to do that without proving that you have 1 million liquid. Obviously, getting in early, there's a lot of risk involved, but there's also a lot of potential reward. But it gives people an option they didn't otherwise have. So I'm a fan of the idea. I'm a fan of the idea. I love what Ninjutsu's doing. I think Moonshot Boxes is great. It gives people an opportunity to invest in exciting projects in the Web3 space, something they wouldn't be able to otherwise, something that most people can't do in TradFi. So yeah, I think it's a great idea, Henry. I think you chose a great DApp. There's a lot of great DApps coming to Lithium, and it's an exciting time. And I've also just noticed more crypto adoption in the past, say, year than previously. I was at Cannes last year, and there wasn't much crypto talk, but this year, for example, Steak and Shake, which is a chain restaurant all throughout the U.S. and Europe, started accepting Bitcoin at their locations, and you're just seeing more and more adoption at mainstream places, and you're seeing more places like Cannes, which is a film industry event, begin talking about crypto, begin talking about using crypto as payment, begin talking about incorporating it into their industry, seeing how it solves certain cross-border payment problems they've been having. So I feel like with each passing month, there's more and more adoption, and it's an exciting time in crypto from a macro perspective. It just seems to be slowly, not there yet, but slowly kind of entering into the mainstream.
Yeah, and if you follow the developments in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they're very big on blockchain. And right now, if you want to buy a house in Dubai, you can just send them Bitcoin. No problem. It's like a normal
Oh
thing.
wow! So you can now buy real estate in the Emirates just using Bitcoin. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
new fact to me.
And
On
there's no
that note, though,
taxes.
on that note, Dubai, yes, is way ahead of America. But I think I was reading something about July 14th. That's next week. Is I don't know, crypto week in America. Something about they're gonna. It's all about regulation clarity. So there's a bunch of initiatives starting, more ETFs being requested, applications for basically legalizing and allowing stable coins, USDT, and I don't know, maybe something else to just be accepted within America. So it's good because it's regulation clarity. So I think the US is catching up, and um that's good for the greater market because there's a lot of money in the US. So yeah, and it's good for me because I live here and we need clarity on crypto. So that's another W.
Yeah, hope it is as clear as the sky and you can do whatever you want with your money. I think that's the big thing that I like about crypto. You can lend
Mhm.
your crypto, you can um, buy NFTs, mortgage those monkeys, and buy some more Bitcoin and just and then use those Bitcoins to trade futures. I think that's awesome about crypto, that freedom that you have. And yeah, let's hope you get some more of that American freedom in your regulations as well.
Yep, I'm with you and hoping we have the love or hate this administration, pros and cons, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care, but specifically from the crypto regulation standpoint, I think anybody that's investing in crypto should be not happy with what this administration's trying to do, and hopefully they can get it done before they leave. If they do nothing else, give us clarity, provide us a path towards clarity, and get it approved within the crypto sphere within the next 2 to 3 years, please. So that's all great. All right, guys, I have a meeting starting in the next 5 minutes. Is there, sorry, my job, my real world job. So, is there anything else we want to mention before we want to close this out? For sure, for sure, for sure. Do not, Dan, you upgrade 4 days Tuesday. Upgrade your nodes if you're running one. Um, Other than that, any other closing shots or thoughts, Rashad or Henry?
I'll just say mint your presence. Password is translate. And it's been a pleasure having Henry Coder on. We met him in person. Now we're talking to him on Twitter, and he has a fully working, really cool application. So, yeah, I think this has been a lot of fun. Henry, thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Henry. And if there is a meetup later this fall, please, please come. Rashad, you have to come. Everybody listening, if you can come whenever those details are published, whenever it happens, try to come because it's a blast. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you,
Thank you.
listeners.
And all of you guys need to follow Henry Coder. Follow him right now. Click the button, follow, and then check out his DApp. Check out the Translate DApp that he created. So follow Henry, use what he created, and let's keep this train going.
Let's do it. Positive vibes only.
Hell yeah.
Only positive vibes.
All right, guys. Have a good rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk soon.